talking about the muscles of hand, there are about 20 muscles in the hand. We'll find that there are 4 muscles related to the thumb region and 4 muscles related to the little finger. Little finger is also called as digiti minimi, and the thumb muscles will have the name pollicis. If it is short muscles, then you call it as brevis, because there can be long muscles also, usually coming from the forearm region. They'll be called as longus. But since we are talking about the hand muscles, they'll be called brevis. Now, 4 with the thumb, 4 with the little finger, total 8. What about the remaining 12 muscles? There'll be 4 lumbricals, and then there are 4 plus 4, 8 interossei, 4 palmar interossei and 4 dorsal interossei. So total 12 muscles. Let us write it down here that we have around 20 muscles in the hand, and out of which, related with the thumb, we have got 4 of them. Thumb, which is also called as pollicis, so muscles will have the name attached, pollicis. And then the little finger, and the little finger is called as the digiti minimi, and we want to discuss 4 muscles related to that area also. Thumb area is called thenar area, and the little finger area is called hypothenar area. Then we have got the 4 lumbrical muscles. These lumbricals, they are called so because they are like earthworm shape lumbrical, and they are coming from flexor digitorum profundus, actually a muscle of the anterior forearm, having 4 tendons for the 4 fingers, giving 4 lumbricals. We will see some diagram for that as well. And then we have 4 palmar interossei, and we have got 4 dorsal interossei as well. Now, understand that interossei muscles are, as the name suggesting, between bones. So they are very deep. The deeper most muscles in the hand are interossei, total 8 in number. And all of them are actually supplied by the deep branch of ulnar nerve. In the hand, there are 2 nerves supplying the muscles, median nerve, ulnar nerve. And it is the ulnar nerve which will have a deep branch, and that will supply the deeper muscles, like you have the interossei, very deep muscles. Now, what about the nerve supply to other muscles? That we will discuss in detail. But then here you should understand, thumb is also having a deep muscle which is called ADD, adductor pollicis muscle. And since it is a deep muscle, it will be supplied by the deep branch of ulnar nerve. Otherwise, if we are talking about the thumb muscles, they are usually supplied by median nerve. But anyhow, we need a diagram to discuss about the nerve supply. Now, out of these 4 muscles in the thumb, there will be 1 adductor pollicis, and in addition, 3 thenar muscles. Now, remember, adductor pollicis, though it belongs to the thumb region, is not a thenar muscle. There are only 3 thenar muscles which we'll be talking about. Total 4 muscles related with the thumb. Similarly, we have 4 muscles related with the little finger, but then only 3 will be hypothenar muscles. Now, if you say there are only 3 hypothenar muscles, then what about the 4th one? It is a subcutaneous muscle. It is called as palmaris brevis, and it is not considered as a hypothenar muscle. So you mean to say palmaris brevis is subcutaneous muscle in the region of the little finger? Yes, but it is not considered as hypothenar muscle. Now, with this briefing, let us have a look over a diagram of the hand and talk about these 20 muscles in more detail. So now, let us look at a diagram for the hand muscles. This is basically an individual lying in supine posture, and we are focusing upon the right hand, and we have magnified the right hand. The thumb is towards the lateral side and towards the radius bone, whereas the little finger is towards the medial side ulnar bone here. With the little finger, we will discuss 4 muscles, out of which 3 are hypothenar, 1 additional. And with the thumb, we'll discuss 4 muscles, out of which 3 are thenar and 1 additional is there. So let us begin from the thumb side only. We'll find the thumb is having 1 muscle for a position called as opponent's pollicis muscle. Let me shade the area now. It is visible slightly here because it is lying deep to this abductor pollicis brevis. So number one, we have seen the apponens pollicis in the thenar eminence, and number two is the abductor pollicis brevis. Like I said, thumb is represented by the name pollicis, a muscle for abduction or taking the thumb away, and brevis means short. There is one abductor pollicis longus also, but it comes from posterior forearm and a long tendon, hence called abductor pollicis longus. But here, the hand muscles are short and we are calling them as brevis. You can see this muscle now I am shading abductor pollicis brevis. And then you can see one more thenar muscle, which is flexor pollicis brevis. And then you will see we have got the same named muscles in the region of the little finger also. The only difference will be instead of pollicis, you will add the name digiti minimi. Like you will see, if there's a flexor pollicis brevis, there's a flexor digiti minimi. Here you can see that flexor digiti minimi brevis. Brevis means it is a brief, short muscle. And you can see it here. So flexor pollicis, flexor digiti minimi. Similarly, you have one abductor pollicis, and this is abductor digiti minimi, which you can shade now. And then you will see there is one apponens also for the little finger, which is shown here, the apponens digiti minimi. So this is the apponens digiti minimi on the inner side of the palm, and this is apponens pollicis, which is on the outer side of the palm. So 3 thenar muscles and 3 hypothenar muscles having almost same name, only with the difference of digiti minimi and pollicis. Now, with the little finger, you have one more muscle, which is a subcutaneous muscle, which is not shown here, but you will find it will be presenting itself here. It is called as the palmaris brevis muscle, subcutaneous muscle. Now, 4 muscles with the little finger, 4 muscles with the thumb, which is the 4th muscle. It is a very deep muscle. It is called as ADD, adductor pollicis muscle. And as I suggested, this adductor pollicis muscle, the ADD, since it is very deep, it is supplied by the deep branch of ulnar nerve. In fact, in the hand, most of the muscles are supplied by ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve actually runs with the ulnar bone on the little finger side. So ulnar nerve will supply all the hypothenar muscles. The ulnar nerve gives a deep branch will supply ADD, adductor pollicis muscle also, though the thumb muscles will be supplied by median nerve, which runs in the midline. So here is the dissected specimen of the hand muscles, and let us start with the very first muscle, which is seen, a very small portion of it is visible, and we'll call it as apponens pollicis muscle, the one which we have already seen here as well. And apponens pollicis can be seen clearly only if you have removed the overlying muscle abductor pollicis brevis. So here is the overlying muscle abductor pollicis brevis, which must be removed to see the apponens pollicis clearly. So here, this is the abductor, and then you can mention the flexor as well. The flexor pollicis brevis can be seen still on the inner side of the palm, and you will find this is the flexor pollicis brevis towards the interior of the palm. Now, obviously, in a 2D diagram, it is difficult to demarcate these muscles individually until otherwise you feel them and separate them with your hand, which is possible only in the dissection hall. So, asking about these muscles individually in a computer-based test is not a very meticulous way of examining the knowledge of the student. But anyhow, just a relative orientation can be seen. Now, the same muscles you can show for the little finger as well. There will be one apponens digiti minimi, but can be seen only when you remove the overlying muscle. So here is the apponens digiti minimi, which is actually covered by flexor digiti minimi. You have to remove the flexor digiti minimi, then only you can see the apponens clearly. So here is the flexor digiti minimi, covering the apponens digiti minimi. And then this is the abductor digiti minimi, which we can shade here, and you can also mark here, the abductor digiti minimi. Then we can talk about the ADD, adductor pollicis also. The ADD, adductor pollicis, is a very deep muscle, which you can see here towards the thumb side, which you have already witnessed here as well. And if you go still deeper to the adductor pollicis, then you will be able to see the interosseous muscle. Like here, we can see the first dorsal interossei, and that you need to show even in the dissected specimen here. So this is the first dorsal interossei, which will be quite deeper, even deeper to the ADD adductor pollicis. Then we can talk about the lumbricals as well. L for L, lumbricals come laterally from the tendon of flexor digitorum profundus. So let us first show the tendon of flexor digitorum profundus here, inserting to the base of the distal phalanx for the finger 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is finger number 2, the index finger, and the middle finger comes finger number 3, and then the ring finger, finger number 4, and finger number 5, the little finger. Each of these 4 fingers will have 4 lumbricals coming laterally. So here is the lumbrical number 1. Coming lateral to the FDP tendon, crossing the MCP joint from the anterior, but then going to the dorsum of the finger to insert into dorsal digital expansion. Similarly, this is lumbrical number 2, coming laterally, going to the dorsal digital expansion on the dorsum of the finger, and lumbrical number 3 and lumbrical number 4, coming from the tendons of FDP. Now, once you have mentioned the lumbricals here, let us draw a diagram for them ourselves as well. For the lumbricals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let us begin by telling that there's a muscle called as flexor digitorum profundus in the anterior forearm, and then it'll be sending 4 tendons for the 4 fingers to flex them, flexor digitorum. And these 4 tendons insert on the base of the distal phalanx, and then these 4 tendons are giving us the 4 lumbricals also. L for L, lumbricals come from the lateral side. So here is the lumbrical 1. We will notice that lumbricals, as they are crossing in front of the MCP joint, they will call MCP flexion. But since then they go to the dorsal of the finger to insert on the dorsal distal expansion, they can cause interphalangeal extension. So while passing in front of metacarpophalangeal joint, they cause MCP flexion. And as they are going dorsal, to be inserting on the dorsal digital expansion, there they will be doing interphalangeal extension. We will see one diagram for the dorsal digital expansion in a short while. Now this is lumbrical 1. Let us show lumbrical 2 as well. Now this lumbrical 1 and lumbrical 2 are unipinnate muscles, but lumbrical 3, 4 are bipinnate muscle, which will become evident when I draw them. So here is lumbrical 3, which is a bipinnate muscle. That means it is taking origin from the adjacent tendons of flexor digitorum profundus. Similarly, the 4th lumbrical is also bipinnate. So here is the 4th lumbrical having bipinnate arrangement, taking its origin from the adjacent tendons of flexor digitorum profundus. The first 2 are unipinnate lumbricals, and the next 2 are bipinnate lumbricals, and all of them insert on the dorsal digital expansion to cause interphalangeal extension. Along with that, they also cause MCP flexion. Now, what about their nerve supply? Understand that flexor digitorum profundus is a hybrid muscle. The medial half of the FDP is supplied by a nerve of ulnar nerve, controlling these 2 lumbricals. So these 2 lumbricals will have ulnar nerve to control, whereas the radial lateral half of the FDP is supplied by median nerve. So these 2 lumbricals will have the median nerve. That means the unipinnate lumbricals are supplied by median nerve, as the muscle itself is a hybrid muscle having dual supply, laterally being the median nerve, hence supplying the lumbrical 1 and 2, the unipinnate one. Whereas if you're talking about the medial half of the FDP, that is supplied by the ulnar nerve. So it is the ulnar nerve which is supplying the medial half of flexor digitorum profundus and supplying lumbrical for the medial fingers, for the ring finger and the little finger. These lumbricals are controlled by ulnar nerve, and they are bipinnate muscles. Now let us talk about the interossei muscles. There are 4 palmar interossei and 4 dorsal interossei, and we want to talk about their actions here. Remember a mnemonic: pad and dab. The palmar interossei are for adding the finger, or ADD, adduction towards the axis, that is the middle finger is axis. And if we are talking about the dorsal interossei, 4 in number, then dab, dorsal for abduction, A, B to separate the finger from the axis, which is the middle finger, the axis. So, as we say, pad palmar for adding the finger to the axis of the middle finger, you will see you're pulling the thumb and the index finger towards the middle finger, adding them towards the middle finger, adduction. And then from here, little finger and the ring finger towards the middle finger. So adding it there, A double D adduction. This is done by palmar interossei, 4 in number, whereas dorsal interossei, which are also 4 in number, they will be separating the fingers from the axis, which is the middle finger. For example, if you pull the thumb away or index finger away, then it is called ABD abduction. You will use dorsal interossei for that, or you are pulling the ring finger away or little finger away, then it is also the abduction, and that is done by the dorsal interossei. Now here you can see one thing, that maybe the middle finger is pulled towards the thumb, or maybe the middle finger is pulled towards the little finger. It is always going away from the axis. This is the axis. So it is always doing ABD abduction. It will require 2 dorsal interossei. 1 dorsal interossei for pulling it towards the thumb, and 1 dorsal interossei pulling it towards the little finger. So there are 2 dorsal interossei on the middle finger. You can remember D2. D2 means it has 2 dorsal interossei, but then it has P0. Palmar interossei are 0. But why the middle finger does not have a palmar interossei? Because the middle finger is always in A double D adducted position. It is the axis itself. It is always in adduction, so it does not require any palmar interossei. If it moves, it is always away from the axis, So it will always be doing ABD, abduction. Because it is always in adduction, it requires no palmar interossei, P0. This will become more clear in the next diagram, that it has D2, 2 dorsal interossei, and P0, 0 palmar interossei. Now here we are looking at 4 palmar and the 4 dorsal interossei, and this is basically the left hand which has been magnified. So the thumb is towards the lateral side, as you can see. This will be the first metacarpal, whereas the medial, the 5th metacarpal, is on this side. Now let us zoom this left hand anterior view here. And as we do that, we can once again talk about pad and dab. Palmar interossei for adducting the fingers, whereas the dorsal interossei for abducting the fingers. And the axis remains the middle finger, the 3rd finger. So this is the axis, the 3rd finger, the 3rd metacarpal also. Same you can show here as well. The 3rd metacarpal or the 3rd finger as the axis. Now, whether you are pulling the ring finger or little finger towards the middle finger, or you are pulling the thumb or the index finger towards the middle finger, you are always adding the fingers. And this is called adduction. Palmar interossei for adduction, and they are unipinnate muscles. As we will see in a diagram, draw a diagram. But the dorsal interossei are bipinnate muscle, taking origin from the metacarpals, adjacent metacarpals. And what are they doing function? The function is dab, dorsal for abduction, separate the fingers from the axis. So whether you are taking the thumb or index finger away from the axis, it is abduction, or you are taking the ring finger or little finger away from the axis, it is abduction. And similarly, the middle finger, whether it is going towards the thumb or it is going towards the little finger, it is always doing abduction. That is why it is having 2 dorsal interossei, as you can see. Now, if the middle finger has 2 dorsal interossei, we said it is D2, then will it have P0 here? Yes, you can see the middle finger has no palmar interossei. It is P0 because the middle finger is always in the axis. It is always in adduction. It does not require any palmar interossei. Palmar interossei work only on the finger 1, 2, and 4, 5. And they are unipinnate. Let us look at their origin. The first palmar interossei take origin from the first metacarpal and insert on the base of the first phalanx of the thumb. And the second palmar interossei from the second metacarpal inserting on the base of the proximal phalanx. So this is palmar interossei 1, 2, unipinnate, unipinnate. Similarly, palmar interossei 3, 4 are also unipinnate, taking origin from the metacarpal, inserting on the proximal phalanx. Origin is metacarpal, insertion is proximal phalanx. But remember, all these palmar interossei, as you can see, they are going to pull the fingers towards the inside. So little finger pulled inside, ring finger pulled inside. See the insertion moves. Similarly, palmar interossei can pull index finger towards the midline, thumb towards the midline. Add the finger adduction, ADD, but the middle finger is always in adduction, has no attachment of any interossei. Now let us look at the dorsal interossei, and you find they are all bipinnate. See, this is the first dorsal interossei taking origin from the adjacent metacarpal bones, inserting on the base of the proximal phalanx. And similarly, this is the dorsal interossei number 2, taking origin from the adjacent metacarpals, inserting on the proximal phalanx of the middle finger. And dorsal interossei number 3, taking origin from the metacarpals, inserting on the proximal phalanx of the middle finger. And dorsal interossei number 4, inserting on the proximal phalanx. You can see one thing here. Dorsal interossei are bipinnate and they work only on the middle 3 fingers. Dorsal interossei do not work on the thumb or the little finger. They have no insertion there. So dorsal interossei work only on the middle 3 fingers. It's very simple. If you want to move the middle finger towards the thumb side or towards the little finger side, then you need dorsal interossei. So D2, there are 2 dorsal interossei on the middle finger for abduction. And you can pull the index finger away from the axis with 1 interossei, and you can pull the ring finger away from the axis using 1 other interossei. Dorsal interossei for abduction. Now remember one more thing. These interossei, not only they insert on the proximal phalanx, but they are also going towards the dorsal side, inserting on the dorsal digital expansion. Actually, there's a tendon, extensor digitorum, and it will come to the dorsal side of the fingers, making dorsal digital expansion. There, you have seen the lumbricals were inserting, and 8 interossei also insert. Total 12 muscles will insert. And those 12 muscles, what they do, they will help the extensor digitorum in interphalangeal extension. In fact, you have to remember, interossei muscle, of course, their function is palmar for adding the finger, dorsal for separating the finger, but along with that, they work with lumbricals also for 2 more actions. And what are they? Number 1, flex the MCP joint. And number 2, extend the interphalangeal joint. And how do they extend the interphalangeal joint? That need to be seen yet. We want to see dorsal distal expansion details yet. But first, let us draw a diagram for the unipinnate palmar interossei and the bipinnate dorsal interossei here. Let us say that these are the 8 carpal bones in the hand. And then you can show the 5 metacarpals. This is metacarpal number 1. And then metacarpal number 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is for the little finger. And then you can show the phalanges as well. So there will be a proximal phalanx, middle, and distal phalanx for little finger. And similarly, for the other fingers, you have 3 phalanges. But then we have to understand that the thumb will have only 2 phalanges, the proximal and the distal. So let us now talk about the palmar interossei doing the adduction and middle finger having P0, no palmar interossei because it is always in adducted position. So this is the first palmar interossei taking origin from the metacarpal, inserting on the base of the first proximal phalanx of thumb. And as you see, it is crossing the MCP joint anteriorly, but then goes posterior to the interphalangeal joint. So in addition to the typical function which they are doing for adducting the thumb towards the middle finger, they also cause MCP flexion, interphalangeal extension, because they are inserting dorsally on the dorsal digital expansion also. So what are the 3 functions of the palmar interossei? Number 1, it is for adding the finger. And number 2, MCP flexion. And number 3, interphalangeal extension. Here, they are actually working with the lumbricals. That is their secondary activity. Now, this is the first palmar interossei. What about the second? This is the second palmar interossei, taking origin from the metacarpal number 2, inserting on the proximal phalanx and pulling the index finger towards the middle finger. And then, what about the palmar interossei 3, 4? This is palmar interossei 3, and it is pulling the finger inside towards the middle finger. And this is palmar interossei 4, which is pulling the little finger towards the middle finger. So now we have seen 4 palmar interossei, none of them working on the middle finger. Middle finger is P0, palmar interossei 0. But then let us talk about the dorsal interossei D2 for the middle finger as well. So here again we can show the 8 carpal bones in the wrist joint. And on the 8 carpal bones, you can show the 5 metacarpals. This is metacarpal number 1 for the thumb, and metacarpal number 2, 3, 4, 5. This is metacarpal number 5 for the little finger. You can also show the phalanges here. Proximal, middle, distal phalanx for the little finger, the 5th finger, and then this is the ring finger, the middle finger, index finger, and thumb has only 2 phalanges. And now we have to show the bipinnate dorsal interossei, taking origin from the adjacent metacarpals. But then they are not working upon the 1st and the 5th finger. They are working only on the inner 3 fingers so that they can pull them away from the middle finger, abduction. So dorsal interossei are for abduction, and they'll pull the fingers away from the middle finger axis. So this is the dorsal interossei number 1, which is bipinnate. You can show dorsal interossei number 2 also, which is bipinnate, working on the middle finger and pulling the middle finger away from the axis. You can show one more dorsal interossei on the middle finger, because middle finger, whether it is being pulled towards the little finger or it is being pulled towards the thumb, it is always doing ABD, abduction. So here is dorsal interossei number 2 and dorsal interossei number 3. The middle finger having D2, 2 dorsal interossei for abduction. And you can show one more dorsal interossei here. That will be pulling the ring finger away from the axis. As you can see here, it will pull the ring finger away from the axis. So dorsal interossei are bipinnate, D for dab, dorsal for abduction, D2, middle finger having 2 of them, and P0, palmar interossei, 0 on the middle finger. They are unipinnate and for ADD, adduction. Now, how do you check them clinically? First of all, you should understand whether you are checking the palmar interossei for adduction or you are checking dorsal interossei for abduction. You are always checking the ulnar nerve, because it is the ulnar nerve, the deep branch which will supply the deep muscles. Maybe it is palmar or dorsal interossei. They are interossei between bones, very deep muscle. So deep branch of ulnar nerve. All the 8 interossei are supplied by only ulnar nerve. So how do you check for palmar interossei? ADD adduction. Take a card and put the card between the fingers of the patient and ask the patient to hold the card. And then you try to pull the card. So between these fingers or these fingers or these fingers, you try to pull the card and patient is holding. That holding power, adding power comes from the palmar interossei. You're checking for palmar interossei. On the other hand, if you want to check spreading of the finger, dorsal interossei for abduction, ask the patient to spread the finger. And you check for the power. What is the power of patient having to spread the finger by giving resistance here? So you are checking for dorsal interossei now. We got a question. Let us handle the question then. This question is asking us, a patient cannot hold a sheet of the paper between the 2nd and the 3rd digit. You have given a paper which is being held between finger number 2 and 3. But the patient finds it difficulty there. So palmar for adding the finger, palmar interossei. Now, maybe it is palmar interossei, but interossei are very deep muscles, so supplied by the deep branch of ulnar nerve. Hence, the answer will be choice number A here, as you see. And what about this question? It is asking which of the following muscle is not contributing to the dorsal digital expansion. Now, we have not discussed yet the details of dorsal distal expansion, but I told you that 12 muscles, 4 lumbricals, 4 palmar, and 4 dorsal interosseae, they all insert on the dorsal distal expansion. They help the extensor digitorum muscle for interphalangeal extension. So hence, we can find the answer is the ADD, adductor pollicis. It is not inserting on the dorsal distal expansion, and it will become more clear by looking at some diagrams. As you would notice, these days the examiners keep giving you some dissected specimens, so you should be able to identify some of the details there. Presently, we are focusing upon the dorsal aspect of the forearm, having the extensor digitorum muscle, the origin and the insertion and the modification. So here you will notice the posterior forearm muscle extensor digitorum takes origin from the lower end of the humerus, the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. It is called common extensor origin. And from there, it'll have 4 tendons for the 4 fingers. And you will find having a modification called as dorsal digital expansion. It is inserted on the dorsal distal expansion and the phalanges of the 4 fingers. So you can see once again, origin of the extensor digitorum muscle is from the lower end of the humerus, lateral epicondyle common extensor origin. And from there, it is going to insert into the phalanges of the fingers. As you see, this is the bulk of the muscle on the posterior forearm and giving 4 tendons passing under the extensor retinaculum here, which is shown here. The extensor retinaculum, under which will be passing the extensor digitorum 4 tendons. And then you will notice that these 4 tendons, they make the dorsal digital expansion, whose magnified picture can be seen here now. So it is the dorsum of the left hand, and it is being magnified here to show the 4 tendons of extensor digitorum passing under the extensor retinaculum. Here is the extensor digitorum for the little finger, for the ring finger, for the middle finger, and for the index finger. Now we need to still magnify this region so that we can discuss what is called as the dorsal digital expansion on the dorsum of the fingers. It is a triangular structure on the dorsum of each finger, starting at the metacarpophalangeal joint, reaching the distal phalanx. So let us have the next diagram for that purpose. It is a modification of extensor digitorum muscle, but then it is getting insertion from lumbrical as well as interosseae, coming from the anterior side of the hand. You can see some muscles here. These are the muscles between the bones. Interosseae, dorsal interosseae muscle here. You can shade the first dorsal interosseae here. And this dorsal interosseae, the tendon will be passing in front of the hand and coming to the dorsal side to insert into dorsal distal expansion. So this is first dorsal interosseae. You have the second dorsal interosseae here on the dorsum of hand, third dorsal interosseae, and the fourth dorsal interosseae. They all insert into dorsal distal expansion along with the palmar interosseae and lumbricals as well. Let us focus the middle finger to have more details. D2, 2 dorsal interosseae inserting on the dorsal distal expansion of the middle finger, if you remember, for interphalangeal extension. So as we continue, this is the dorsum of the left forearm, the left hand being magnified here, showing the 4 tendons of the extensor digitorum, passing under the extensor retinaculum, and then it has come to the middle finger. We have magnified this region of the middle finger so as to show the extensor retinaculum here. The details of middle finger are being shown, which will receive the 2 dorsal interosseae, D2 here. One of the dorsal interosseae coming from the dorsal side and also the other dorsal interosseae. And along with the dorsal interosseae, you also have the insertion of 1 lumbrical coming from lateral side. Lumbricals always come from lateral side towards the thumb side. As you can see, this is the thumb side. So lumbricals are in the anterior hand, of course, but they will come towards the posterior side, inserting into dorsal distal expansion, which is actually a triangular structure and having insertion on the phalanges. So this is metacarpal bone here. This is the first phalanx, second phalanx, and the third phalanx. You can show the distal phalanx here. If that is the distal phalanx, this is the middle phalanx, and here is the proximal phalanx. And of course, this is the metacarpal bone here. And then comes the tendon of extensor digitorum from the posterior forearm and getting modified here to form a triangular structure called dorsal digital expansion. Now this dorsal digital expansion, which is a modification of the tendon of the extensor digitorum in the posterior forearm and the posterior fingers, it is basically for interphalangeal extension, PIP extension and DIP extension, distal interphalangeal extension, proximal interphalangeal extension. Actually, the dorsal distal expansion will have 3 slips. And you can see this middle slip is inserted on the base of middle phalanx, whereas there will be 2 lateral slips, and these lateral slips, or you say collateral slips, they are going to merge with each other distally to insert on the base of distal phalanx. Now, these 2 collateral slips, they are basically going to work upon the distal interphalangeal joint for its extension, whereas the middle phalanx is for the PIP extension, proximal interphalangeal extension. So this is the detail of dorsal distal expansion, which is obviously for interphalangeal extension by the extensor digitorum, but helped by lumbrical and interossei as well. Now we need to remember 12 muscles doing 2 functions. There are 4 lumbricals and 8 interossei, total 12 muscles doing 2 functions. One is MCP flexion, 2 is interphalangeal extension. As these 12 muscles, they pass the MCP joint anteriorly, they'll be causing MCP flexion. And since they are inserted on the dorsum of the dorsal distal expansion, they'll be causing interphalangeal extension with the help of extensor digitorum. So IP extension. Now, what will happen if lumbrical, interossei, the 12 muscles are paralyzed? For example, there is a pull on the lower trunk of the brachial plexus, Klumpke's palsy, root value C8, T1 compromised, especially T1 compromised. T1 is the root value of the hand muscle, so it is compromised. There will be difficulty in MCP flexion and there will be difficulty in IP extension, leading to claw hand deformity. Let us talk about claw hand deformity now. And this is claw hand deformity. As I said, Klumpke's palsy, a pull on the lower trunk of brachial plexus, T1 root value compromised, lumbrical interossei compromised, so difficulty in MCP flexion. But if MCP cannot go into flexion, it will be going into extension. This is the hyperextension at MCP joint. And then you will find the interphalangeal joints are finding difficulty in extension. And in fact, the PIP joint and DIP joint, they are going into flexion deformity. Now understand why this deformity is coming. Why you have interphalangeal flexion deformity and MCP joint hyperextension. See, simple thing is, if a group of muscle is not working, the other group of muscle become more powerful and they bring the deformity. So which muscle became unopposed or more powerful? As MCP joint finding difficulty in flexion, you will see the posterior forearm muscle, which is extensor digitorum, having 4 tendons. As you see here, they will be actually causing hyperextension deformity. Unopposed extensor digitorum causing hyperextension deformity. And who is causing the flexion deformity of PIP DIP joint? That will be the anterior forearm muscle, flexor digitorum, especially flexor digitorum profundus, and causing the PIP DIP flexion. So unopposed action of the flexor digitorum muscles, they result in IP flexion. Let me demonstrate that. The claw hand deformity. See, if the lumbrical interossei not working, difficulty in MCP flexion, interphalangeal extension. And that is why you notice anterior forearm muscle became more powerful, causing interphalangeal flexion, and the posterior forearm muscle is unopposed extensor digitorum, causing MCP hyperextension. This is called as claw hand deformity. As you see, a group of muscle have become more powerful and unopposed, leading to this deformity. Now we got this question asking us, identify the function of the arrow marked muscle in the diagram. And as you can see, the arrow is showing this particular muscle, whether it is doing flexion at the IP joint or is working at the MCP joint, causing flexion, extension or abduction. Let us first zoom this diagram a bit. And as we do that, we'll notice that these are some hand muscles, but they are all unipinnate. Now, since you say they are all unipinnate, immediately we get an idea that it must be the interossei muscle. And which interossei muscle? That will be the palmar interossei muscle. And why palmar, why not dorsal? Because only palmar interossei muscles are unipinnate. The dorsal interossei are actually bipinnate. Okay, then why can't they be lumbricals? They cannot be lumbricals because lumbricals do not come from the bones. They are coming from metacarpal bone. So where the lumbricals come from? Tendon of flexor digitorum profundus. And moreover, the first two lumbricals are unipinnate. Next two lumbricals are bipinnate. So two unipinnate, two bipinnate, but they are all unipinnate here, so they cannot be lumbricals. They are only palmar interossei. P0. And what is this P0? That the middle finger has no palmar interossei. Middle finger has no palmar interossei. Why? Because palmar are for adducting the finger, adding the finger, and middle finger is always in adduction. It does not require any palmar interossei. P0. Okay, then what are the functions of palmar interossei? Palmar interossei for adding the finger, adduction. And let us go to the choices now. As you will find in the choices, what they have given is not adduction, but the abduction. So I cannot take this as my answer because this is for the dorsal interossei. Dorsal muscles are for abduction. There is no adduction here. Then what will you do? If palmar for adduction is not in the option, then we understand palmar interossei also help the lumbrical interossei for carrying out two functions, which are MCP flexion and interphalangeal extension. So let us find out which of the option is available. And as you see, flexion at the interphalangeal. No, it is not flexion, it is for extension. So extension at the MCP joint. No, it is not extension, it is flexion at the MCP joint. So that means choice number C is the answer. Yes, flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint. Along with that, it will also do interphalangeal extension. Choice C should be our answer here. And then let us talk about the nerve supply to hand muscles. Hand muscles are chiefly supplied by ulnar nerve. 20 muscles in the hand, mostly supplied by ulnar nerve, very few supplied by median nerve. But on the other hand, if you say muscles of the anterior forearm, mostly supplied by median nerve and very few supplied by ulnar nerve. So which one? Let us find out. You are looking at the front view of the right upper limb, a nerve which is coming from the axillary region towards the ulnar bone, the ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve is the major nerve of the hand muscles, which is shown here. And then you will see we are also talking about the median nerve, which is the major nerve of the anterior forearm muscle, and coming from the axillary region, keep running in the midline of the upper limb. Now my point is there are two nerves supplying anterior forearm and the hand muscles, median and the ulnar nerve. In the forearm, the major nerve is median nerve, and in the hand, the major nerve is ulnar nerve. Let us first start with the ulnar nerve only. Remember, in the anterior forearm, you have 8 muscles. Out of 8 muscles, 1.5 muscle will be supplied by ulnar nerve and remaining 6.5 will be supplied by the median nerve. So it is better to remember the exception, the 1.5. See, ulnar nerve running with the ulnar bone will supply ulnaris muscle. Name is flexor carpus ulnaris. And it is also supplying the ulnar half of the flexor digitorum profundus, a hybrid muscle. So flexor digitorum profundus has a medial half, lateral half. The medial half or ulnar half is supplied by ulnar nerve. And since the flexor digitorum profundus is giving you lumbricals also, lumbrical to finger number 4, 5, they will also be supplied by ulnar nerve. So 1.5 muscles in the anterior forearm supplied by ulnar nerve. The remaining 6.5 muscle will be supplied by the median nerve in the anterior forearm, including lateral half of FDP, and which will be then further giving lumbrical for the lateral half fingers, lumbrical 1 and 2. So 2 lumbricals are supplied by median nerve coming from the lateral half of FDP, the hybrid muscle, and 2 lumbricals are supplied by ulnar nerve coming from the medial half of FDP. Now, what else is the ulnar nerve supplying? Ulnar nerve, after supplying 1.5 muscle in the anterior forearm, will supply most of the muscle in the hand. It will have a superficial branch and a deep branch. Now, since the ulnar nerve is running with ulnar bone, medial side, the little finger is on the medial side. It will supply the muscles on the little finger. That is the hypothenar muscles. Even the palmaris brevis, because it is on the little finger. And the ulnar nerve giving a deep branch will supply the deep muscles, ADD, adductor pollicis also. Though it is a muscle of the thumb, but it is supplied by ulnar nerve. And ulnar nerve will supply the 4 palmar interossei and the 4 dorsal interossei as well. Since interossei, the name is telling they are deep muscle, so deep branch of the ulnar nerve. Median nerve do not have a deep branch here. So deep muscles will be supplied only by the ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve also supply partly the flexor pollicis brevis muscle, which is a hybrid muscle of the thumb. It is supplied partly by median nerve and partly by ulnar nerve. So here you have seen almost all the muscles in the hand. There are 20 muscles in the hand, out of which you have 4 palmar interossei, 4 dorsal interossei, 2 lumbrical, 10 plus 4 for the little finger, 15. Plus 2 for the thumb, 17. So 17 muscles already supplied by ulnar nerve in the hand. What about the rest of the muscle? That must be the median nerve. Let us come to the median nerve. Median nerve is a nerve towards the thumb. It will supply muscles towards the thumb. For example, it is supplying abductor pollicis brevis. And remember, abductor pollicis brevis is purely supplied by the median nerve. Median nerve also supplying lumbricals 1 and 2. As it is supplying the lateral half of FDP, it will give the lumbrical 1, 2. They are supplied by median nerve. Otherwise, when it comes to the flexor pollicis brevis, we have just seen it is a hybrid muscle, partly supplied by median nerve and partly supplied by the deeper head is supplied by ulnar nerve. So flexor pollicis brevis is a hybrid muscle, double nerve supply. And so is the Apponens pollicis. It is written by Gray's Anatomy that Apponens pollicis can also have additional supply from ulnar nerve, making it hybrid. So 2 hybrid muscles. Number 1, flexor pollicis brevis. Number 2, Apponens pollicis. So very few muscles in the hand will be supplied by the median nerve. Otherwise, most of the hand muscles were already supplied by ulnar nerve. Let us revise quickly what all the ulnar nerve is supplying in the hand. So it is once again the ulnar nerve supplying the right hand muscles here. The ulnar nerve is actually passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum along with the ulnar artery, enter the hand and supply the little finger sided muscles like palmaris brevis, which is a subcutaneous muscle on the hypothenar eminence. Then it will supply the 3 hypothenar muscles, namely the flexor of the little finger, abductor little finger, Apponens little finger. And it will also supply the medial 2 lumbricals for the ring finger and the little finger. And then as you follow the deep branch, you'll find it is supplying the dorsal interossei, palmar interossei. Now, why you have written here 3 palmar interossei? There are actually 4 palmar interossei. Some of the authors, they mention 3 only. So some people can have 3 permanent crochet. It's a variation. Normally we have 4 dot crochet, 4 permanent crochet, but there are some people who can have only 3 permanent crochet. So you should be informed beforehand. So 8 intercrochet are all supplied by the deep branch of the ulnar nerve because they are deeper muscles. One more deeper muscle is the adductor pollicis. Though it is a muscle of the thumb, which are usually supplied by median nerve, but here it is supplied by deep branch of ulnar nerve because it is deeper. Even the deep head of flexor pollicis brevis is often supplied by the ulnar nerve, making it as a hybrid muscle. You remember there was one more hybrid muscle. Gray's Anatomy says that it can also supply opponent's pollicis and making even the opponent's pollicis as a hybrid muscle, though less often. So here you have revised almost all the muscles of the hand are under control of the ulnar nerve. Then which is the only muscle not supplied by ulnar nerve? Abductor pollicis brevis. Abductor pollicis brevis is supplied only by median nerve. That you remember.